So the first thing I'm going to explain how to do in this is everything related to movement, or not everything, just a basic rundown really. But so the first thing we're going to use is just a simple drive forward. And what this does is we can decide how far we go and the speed with which we go there based on these variables that are interchangeable. This can go up to 100 and the distance can be anything of your choosing. So here I'll just show you how to run this. Start. You see it goes 20 centimeters at a speed of 30%. If we up that to 60%, you can see it does it a little bit faster. The next piece of code we're going to use is the steer blank speed percent left, speed percent right, distance centimeter. So this allows us to actually determine how our robot moves in a way that's different than our drive forwards code was. For with the steer forwards, we decide at what percent of speed our left side and our right side moves. That will allow us to turn as we're going forward at the same time. So again, you can use these variables to change the speed at which you turn and things of that nature, and also how far you go. So with our speed percent left is 10 and our speed percent right is 30, speed percent left is lower. Whichever side is lower is the way that your robot will turn. So as you can see here, the robot, mind you, the robot is facing to the right of the screen. And you see it moves 20 centimeters and it ends up turning left because of the speed at which the left is going is much smaller than the speed of the right. But see here, if we actually switch those, our robot will end up turning right because the speed percent right is lower than that of the left. The next piece of code we're going to go over is the turn right or turn left speed degree. So this is interchangeable, right and left. Speed can change as a variable, just with the same with the degree. So with the degree, 90 degrees would be a complete turn all the way. So say we're looking up, 90 degrees to the right would be now we're looking straight to the right. 90 degrees to the left would be straight to the left. And 180 degrees would be, instead of looking up, we are now looking down. You can change the speed to whatever percent you want. You can determine if it's right or left. And the degree will determine how sharp of a turn it is. Degree, and now a 90 degree, you can see was 90 degrees from the 20 degrees mark. So in total, we went 110 degrees. Here I'll reset so we can see we're focused straight to the right, 90 degrees to the right. Now we're facing straight down. If we go to the left, we're facing down, 90 degrees to the right, or to the left, sorry, we're now facing to the right. So that's it for movement. Now we're going to go over a little bit about sensors. Your robot has a couple sensors. It has a touch sensor, gyroscope, color sensor, and ultrasonic sensor. We're really only going to be using the touch sensor and the color sensor in this just to keep it a little more simple. Because once you get into gyroscope and things like that, it can get a little bit tricky. So first, I'm just going to go over what some of these are. Touch sensor port 1 press. You're going to use that with logic, and I'll go over how you use that later. The get color will tell you the color at which your robot is over top. You can see here it's wherever this little circle over your robot is. So here it's blue, here it's yellow, here it's green, and here it's red. So that's basically what the color sensor does. Get distance. This uses the infrared sensor and it tells you how far away an object is. Here, it's connected to the blue block, but sometimes it can connect to the side and things like that. Next, we're going to go through a little bit of logic. First, we're going to use the if-do block. The if in this blue section, you're going to use some sort of statement that can be proven true or false. So first, just for an example, we're going to use the touch sensor because that's a straight binary. It is or it isn't pressed. So just for the inside, where you're going to use whatever you want your code to be. I'm just going to use drive forwards to be simple. So we'll run the code. It's not touching, so it's not driving. But here, it's touching. You can see it's trying to drive, but the issue is now you're running into the block. So we're going to move that, change that to backwards. Again, you see nothing's happening when it's not pressed, but now that it's pressed, our robot's going to move backwards. And a block that's similar to that is the if do else block. And just like that in the blue slot, use something like if touch sensor is pressed, or you can use something like equations or and statements later on. But again, we're just using touch sensor because it's simple. You can put whatever kind of code you want in there. I'm going to keep it as drive backwards for do, and I'm going to put a drive forwards as an else. So if touch sensor port 1 is pressed, drive backwards at a speed of 30%, a distance of 20 centimeters, or else drive forwards with a speed percent of 30 and a distance of 20 centimeters. So we run this, we're not pressing, you see it moves forward 20 centimeters. However, if we move this and it's not pressing, we drive backwards 20 centimeters. The next group of blocks I want to show is loops. Loops will allow you to use your code multiple times in a row. So here, I'll show you repeat 10 times, drive forward, do, drive forwards, speed, blah, blah, blah. Now, this will have you drive forwards a speed percent 30, a distance of 20 centimeters 10 times. So I'm actually going to move that down to 2 just so it fits on the screen. And I'll move the block out of the way. Now you can see it moves 40 centimeters. So just so that you can see that it's actually going 2 times, I'm going to add a drive backwards just so we can see where each iteration is. Drive forwards, goes forward 20 centimeters, go back 20 centimeters. Now restart the code, drive forward, and then drive back again. Something similar to that is a repeat until. And in a repeat until, you're basically telling your code to run until this is true. So for this, again, I'm just going to use drive forward because it's simple, and I'm going to use touch sensor pressed. So until touch sensor 1 is pressed, drive forward at a speed of 30 and a distance of 20 centimeters. So we'll see here, we'll run, and we keep going forward, 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 even though it's more than 20 centimeters, because we're repeating indefinitely until we touch the block. Now you see here when we touch the block, we stop moving forward because our touch sensor was pressed. Or, for example, we'll do it backwards. Repeat until touch sensor port 1 is pressed. Drive backwards. We're driving backwards, driving backwards, driving backwards. And this will actually go on forever because our port 1 will never be pressed when we're going backwards like this because the port is in the front and there's nothing to press the front. Now, obviously, we stop because we get stuck on the wall and there's nothing we can do about that. But if you see, I'll move it. It just keeps going backwards. Now, if I place it on top of the block, however, now it stops because the sensor's being pressed.